views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
I'm the Dr. Von Lee. Welcome to Open BxRx. It's our special coverage of COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, and how it's impacting the Bronx community and beyond. Coming up on today's show, we'll take a look at business scams, price gouging, and what business owners and consumers should look out for. Plus, City Comptroller Scott Stringer, he joins us for a discussion on the economic impact of COVID-19. And then we hear from different community groups who are looking to distribute resources around the Bronx and throughout New York State. After that, there are new laws regarding sick time in the state of New York, and we'll be joined by an attorney sharing more information. Next, with distance learning taking place all around us and throughout our schools, we'll get tips on avoiding cyberbullying. Then Bobby C has the latest on the impact this has had in the world of sports. And then later on, we'll learn about exercises for the brain. Exercises for the brain. All that and more headed your way because we are now open. Leading things off, our first guest is the New York City Comptroller, and he joins us with information about the economic impact of COVID-19 and more. Speaking of such, why don't we start out with that? COVID-19, the economic impact.
Well, let me tell you, first, it's great to be on with you, but I'm going to tell you what I know people are feeling all over the Bronx, which is that this is a very hard time for families. We got a lot of folks who've been laid off from work, a lot of people who are trying to figure out how to educate their kids. This is a very difficult moment in the city. And as controller, when you look at what impacts communities, you also see that impact on the city budget. We are going to we will have lost some $6 billion in tax revenue in the short term, which means we now have a $1.5 billion budget deficit in the city. So these are really mean, scary numbers. In the meantime, the stimulus package coming from Washington is shortchanging New York. It seems that they're more concerned about towns that haven't even had a case of coronavirus than they are with New York City, which is now the epicenter of the virus. So we got a lot of work to do going to Washington and saying, hey, we need our fair share.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you have the updated economic analysis forecasting a substantial reduction in New York City's tax revenues for not only this year, but next year.
Well, this is what we're in for. I mean, when you lose $6 billion, as I think we're going to lose between now and, say, June, maybe a little afterwards, and then you look at how we balance the city budget, we do have reserves, but these reserves will not carry us into the next year budget. So we do need a substantial stimulus package, or we need that money to reflect the growing crisis in New York. We need to make sure that people can pay the rent. There has to be a rent moratorium for people who are unemployed. We cannot expand our homeless capacity. And so we've got to make decisive decisions in New York City to help the working people. And I just want to say, we got to help the heroes. There are people who go and work in There are people going to work in factories making minimum wage, places like Amazon and other places, making sure that people get their packages, their food deliveries. What about combat pay for them? Why are they stuck making $15 an hour? We should be paying them $25 an hour or more. We should be making sure that our nurses and doctors get protective gear in all our hospitals, and especially right here in the Bronx.
And that's why you have a call for action to guarantee our healthcare accessible and local child care and priority access to COVID-19 testing. for all frontline workers.
We got to take care of those frontline workers. We saw after 9/11 the heroes who worked on the piles. They didn't know that they were endangering their lives. No one in the government told them, hey, wait a minute, if you work a pile, you're going to get sick and die. This is not a dissimilar situation, but this time we know something.
Yeah.
Masks and gowns and resources, protective gear will save the lives of the frontline workers. They must get this now.
And you got together with the Congressman, SBI, and you rolled up your sleeves and you came out with an urgent action, right? Talk about that.
Well, we want to make sure that daycare workers are prioritized in this city. They're taking care of the most precious people we have, our children. We want to make sure, the congressman and I, that the agencies responsible for those workers are doing everything we can for them. Look, it's all hands on deck, and we need to be strong in ensuring safety.
Yeah.
We also have to be strong in protecting the most vulnerable in the city. You know, the wealthy and the billionaires, they have resources. They're going to be just fine. We want everyone to be safe, but we've got to make sure that the people who don't have savings, who are struggling with rent, that we just keep people, you know, safe. You can't tell people to be indoors if there's no indoors to go to. And that is a priority for me.
And you put together a letter also, a letter talking about the resources and actions needed to protect our frontline workers.
Yes. And we issued an analysis of what that means, meaning more protective gear, more opportunities for their safety. We need to make sure and remind people that a frontline worker is somebody who's not self-quarantining at home. A frontline worker gets up at 6 a.m, gets on a bus, then takes a train to do the hard work of governing in New York City. These are city employees. Many of them have to get to work. They're transit workers. They're nurses. They are the people who have taken care of our grandparents and our children, and we cannot ignore their needs as well. That's why the million people, 20% of them are undocumented. They don't have insurance. They don't have their own resources yet. We're asking them to take care of other people in New York. So there has to be fairness here.
I just don't get it. In the greatest country in the world, Mr. Comptroller, why are we in such dire need? Why is there such a shortage in our country?
Well, the thing I would say, and we're probably going to hear about this for decades to come, our children will study this moment in time. My 8-year-old and 6.5-year-old are going to read great books and watch great documentaries about how we let down the next generation, how we didn't take care of our grandparents and parents. It starts with the clown in the White House. You know, elections matter. Sometimes elections are even about life and death, and it's certainly turning out to be that with Donald Trump. But look, New York City has always fought back. We did it in the 70s with the fiscal crisis. We did it after 9/11. We did it after Hurricane Sandy. We need strong leadership, and it's got to be all hands on deck. We're all in this together. This virus does not discriminate. This virus infects everyone. And the people who are most vulnerable are the people who took care of us, whose shoulders we stand on. And we have to do everything we can to make sure that our elders are safe and that there's adequate hospital resources. It just breaks my heart when I hear the story of the nurse who's helping patients with a garbage bag wrapped around her face.
That's ridiculous.
In this country, in this moment in New York City, where there's more wealth than we ever could have imagined, and we have to keep fighting. So as controller, I'm using the numbers and the analysis as a way of saying to people, wait a minute, don't forget the nurse, don't forget the transit worker, don't forget the city workers, don't forget the people who are working today while other folks are staying home, or other people can escape the city and say go to the Hamptons. Good for you. I'm not begrudging that. But let's make sure we're taking care of the people who can't do that.
Absolutely. And we thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you. Over the years, we've been watching you doing some great work in our community. We see you out all over the place.
You and I go way back, and I can't wait to be in studio with you in the near future. Nothing would make me happy.
Yes. Please, sooner than later. I need to
I
get out.
know. I know. Well, hold on. You be safe now.
I
Tell
know.
everyone there to be safe.
Yes. In fact, how are you faring at home? You have the little ones running around?
I got the 8-year-old and 6.5-year-old. It is truly an experience, and it's look, it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
You know, I said to my wife after 8 days, I said, you know, we're not doing bad, and she said, Scott, it's only 8 days. You know? So I'm like, okay, I got that. But
yeah.
look, the nice thing about having the two little kids running around is as I run the office remotely, because our office is totally shut down for safety reasons. I did that 2 weeks ago. But like you're on the phone or doing Zoom and all this stuff, and I got to tell you, watching the two little ones run around gives me hope. So it keeps me motivated.
All right, New York City Comptroller Scott M. Stringer. Thank you so
All
much,
right,
buddy.
thanks, man. I'll see you soon.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Bye.
All right, we'll take a break. I've got more coming up next on Open. All right, welcome back to Open, everybody. You know, New York schools are participating in distance learning, more so than ever before. And our next guest joins us with tips on avoiding cyberbullying. We have Assis Kaur from Sikh Coalition. From the Sikh Coalition, we welcome you to the show. How are you?
Hi, Bob. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. Tell us about your organization and what you guys are doing.
For sure. So the Sikh Coalition was founded right after 9/11 in efforts to combat discrimination, school bullying, and the profiling that was occurring. It is the largest civil and legal Sikh organization in the U.S.
Yes.
So our team, we've got 5 teams. We've got a legal team. We provide free pro bono, free services for Sikhs who have been subject to discrimination. We've got an advocacy team that keeps an eye on everything happening on the Hill. We've got a community development team making sure that community is aware of their legal rights. We've got an education team that works on education efforts, and we've got a communications team.
Yeah, I like it. You got somebody on the Hill, huh?
Yes. We've got 2 people on our advocacy team. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So you're combating cyberbullying. How are we doing that?
So ever since the existence of the organization, we know that school bullying has been a core problem for Sikh students.
Yeah.
And it remains to be a national problem among many different communities. So we've always gotten cases of school bullying that might include name calling, physical violence, teacher bullying, stuff like that. And now that all of the learning is moving to online, we know that bullying isn't going to go away. We just have to become more creative in recognizing it and handling it now.
And you mentioned for Sikh students, but for people who are just tuning in, we're not talking about students who are ill. We're talking about SIKH, not SICK. Explain.
Yeah. Sikhism is a monotheistic faith. It is just over 500 years old, one of the youngest organized religions in the world. And Sikhs are mandated to maintain an external identity, which means Sikhs don't cut their hair. You'll see Sikhs wearing turbans. In the country, you know, it's pretty safe to assume that if you come across someone wearing a turban, they're like more, you know, about 99% chances that they're a Sikh. So sometimes that leads to bullying and other issues in the workplaces.
And let's talk about distance learning again. And why is it we're looking at cyberbullying from distance learning?
So we're looking
Why
at
is it
it
at a higher risk?
Yeah, no problem, for sure. So bullying is behavior that's unwanted, aggressive, and repeated.
Yeah.
And this can be physical, verbal, social, or online. And right now we're focusing on the line because we know everybody is spending a lot more time in front of the screens, whether it's through Google
Absolutely.
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, to keep everybody entertained, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and you know the different apps that many school districts are using.
Yeah.
I've heard Canvas. The younger kids' apps are called something else. So now that we know everybody is spending a lot of time on their devices, it can create for an environment where kids can get bullied. And that could be, right, someone is sending you a mean or a hateful text message, social media posts that are intended to spread rumors or other fake information about somebody, right? Posting edited or, an image you drawn that's embarrassing and fake. And it can also be as serious as someone sending you a sexually explicit or a threatening message. So this is a time where everybody needs to practice some online safety.
What do you recommend students and parents do if they see this happening, if they experience this?
Mm-hmm. First, I think parents should familiarize themselves with the apps that their kids are using, and then look at the guidance for those apps to see how they can report somebody that is engaging in this type of hurtful and aggressive behavior. How to report that person. So, a little bit of learning on the parents' end so that they have the guidance they need to protect their kids as they spend a lot of time on the internet.
And of course, you got some people on the Hill. What are they telling people in Congress?
We've got to protect our kids. I know before everything was slowing down, there are, two pieces of legislation that everybody should be supporting: the Safe Schools Improvement Act and the Tyler Clementi Act for a higher education. And I will add that, most of the states require that schools include cyberbullying as part of their bullying. Yes. So parents should also know that, just because the kids aren't in school and someone isn't physically hurting their kid, if this happens, you can still report it to the school, especially if it's a classmate or someone else at the school engaging in the bullying, that, they have a responsibility to report it to the school. They can report it to the Department of Education. So there are a lot of measures that parents can take even after they're learning outside of school.
Yeah, parents would jump right up and take action, but sometimes the students, they don't want their parents to go to school or say anything because they're still being bullied.
Yeah.
Whether in school or online.
Yeah.
What do you tell that? What do you tell that student?
It's hard. It's hard to speak up, but I think also when one person speaks up, it often inspires and gives another student that might have been suffering in silence to have the courage to share what's happening with their, most trusted teacher, with the sibling, with the parent, with somebody, so that they can also get the help that they need. Right, everybody deserves a good education. Everybody deserves a healthy environment at school. So, and everyone is protected, right? Schools have a responsibility to keep our kids safe at school. Parents have the desire, right, to make sure that our kids are safe and happy and healthy at all times.
Yes.
So it's important to speak up because you might be speaking up for yourself, but you have no idea how many other kids you might impact.
Yeah. We love you for all you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Take care.
Where can we go? You have a website?
Yes, we do. It's sickcoalition.org. So that's SIKHCOALITION.org. And we've got resources for parents and teachers.
Thank you so much. All right. Assis Kaur, Legal Client and Community Service Manager, the Sikh Coalition.
Thanks, Bob. You have a good one.
You too. Bye. All right, we'll take a break, and we've got the more. All right, welcome back. Our next guest is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau for Metropolitan New York, and joins us today with information on what people should know and what people should look out for right now. We welcome Claire Rosenzweig to the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Bob. We're Delighted to be here. Sorry about the circumstances, as I'm sure we all are. But this is a time when we are trying to build trust. You know, building trust in trying times is what BBB has always been about, and we're still about. And we just want to help people understand what some of the pitfalls are right now.
And we talk about, when you said building trust, we talk about people who are trying to, scam people and people who are price gouging. Let's talk about price gouging right now. What's happening out there? I mean, I went to a supermarket and toilet paper, paper towels, water, all of those things. The prices are way higher than what it used to be.
Yeah.
That's price gouging.
I mean, it's a combination of low demand, price gouging is when somebody is hiking up the price on a product or a service that is in high demand. I mean, the thing to remember is that, as our government is telling us, as everyone's saying, supplies are there, but yes, people are going into the stores, they're panicking and they're taking things off the shelves. And there are those who are taking advantage of us by creating phony online offers and offering us things at prices that are much, much higher than they normally would be offered. Yeah. And price gouging is a term that is applied to a seller who does that, who spikes the price to a level that is much higher than it should be. Yeah. And the key thing is that, if you're seeing that a product is in short demand, like masks or whatever it happens to be, why would you think that all of a sudden some supplier magically has all of this available to you at the special price of? You have to know, your common sense should tell you it's just not real. So if you're going to send your money in to these probably phony online sites, that's the last you see of your money. No. And by the way, you never get the product. So don't think that because somebody is offering somebody something that is in short demand, even at a higher price, number one, that you're ever going to get it. You're probably just losing your money. Number two, if there is somebody who is offering, whether it's hand sanitizer or water or whatever, at some ridiculously high price.
Oh, yeah. You hear the stories of people selling hand sanitizer for $80 a bottle. Right. It's ridiculous.
If somebody is doing that, those people, if you feel you've been victimized, you should be reporting that to the Attorney General's office. We can also report it to the BBB, and we'll provide you with those links for everybody. But it's important to do this not only for yourself, but by reporting it, you're also going to help out another consumer who might have fallen victim to the same thing.
And Claire, that was always a scary thing to a business owner. I'm going to go to the Better Business Bureau. I'm going to tell them all about you. And they go, wait, let's see if we can work it. Come over here, let's talk. And they would work it out. They were always afraid of the Better Business Bureau.
So we hope people aren't afraid of us. What we're trying to do,
not in that way.
The businesses that come to us, that put themselves to the test to see if they meet the standards for trust, those are the businesses that people can go to at bbb.org and know that they've met our standards. They're trustworthy in our opinion.
I like that. All right, let's talk about scams. I mean, we just got a call a little while ago, and it was from the CDC, but it really wasn't a CDC. It came through on a familiar number.
Right.
But when you heard the recording, it said we're from the CDC, and then it played back some other stuff, and I guess they wanted you to respond to that.
Yeah.
What's out there right now?
Sure. I mean, unfortunately, while these are extraordinary times for us, it's also business as usual for scammers, because scammers take advantage of different situations as they come up. Yeah. So one of the ones I heard this morning, like the one you just mentioned, is somebody calling New Yorkers to set up testing. No, this is not the city calling to set up testing. This is a scammer. If you want a test set up, you call your healthcare provider or 311. There'll also be calls or emails. I saw one this morning, which was through social media saying, click on this link to claim your government check. No, they're not doing that. So don't click on any links. So anything that you get by phone offering you something, really what you have to know is all they really want is your all they really want is your personal information.
Yeah.
So, or your money or your bank account. So no, under no circumstances do you give out that personal information over the phone or through emails, clicking links. Just don't do it.
Yeah. So there's two different, you can scam the consumer and you can scam small business. Is that right?
Right. I mean, with businesses, it's a little different. You know, there's something called business email compromise, right? Which we all heard about. In times like this, especially working from home, it's even puts us in a more vulnerable spot, because with everything happening with money and cash flow, you know, you might get a call that is not the usual kind of request from a boss, right? So it puts you in a position of, normally we would say if it's an unusual request, just don't do it. Go back and talk to your worker, but you can't exactly walk down the hall today in most cases. So what you need to do as a small business is kind of set up a safe place, either an in-house phone number that everybody can call to verify a request, something that's kind of a little safe house for your own business, so you're not giving away personal information or business information. So that's one. You know, as far as IT scams, that's another one. So in the case of IT, what might happen is your IT people might get, or somebody from your business might get a request from people saying they're your IT department, asking for a password.
Yeah.
Right. And clearly you don't want to give out your passwords, but you're not sure who it is. You know, it might be somebody calling. It's like an upside down. Before, in the other one, the business email compromise, the boss theoretically is calling you, let's say the controller, to make some sort of a transaction that you don't really know is for real. In this one, it's just the opposite. In this one, I'm just going to shut this off.
Somebody's always calling for something, though.
Yeah. In this one, you know, your IT people, I should say that differently. In this one, what appears to be your IT people are calling employees, asking them for passwords or something unusual. And especially in a little bit of a larger business, or if you outsource your IT, you're not going to necessarily know the voice of the person calling. So the key thing here is making sure that your workforce is warned that these things could happen, and setting up an in-house source for accurate information. So if anybody asks them for information dealing with your accounts, passwords, anything like that, they can go to a place that you've designated where they can check its authenticity.
Okay, great. Let's talk, Claire, let's talk about the small business loans. This is a time where people are really hurting and they need those business loans to keep afloat. I mean, the government's doing some things, but of course, the Better Business Bureau knows a little something about the business loans also.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've been able to do is through our friends at the Small Business Development Centers in New York and through the Small Business Administration, we've been able to provide a lot of information to our accredited businesses, to our accredited businesses, and also to the community at large through our website. We are aware that there are a number of different relief packages that are being offered, and not only on the state level, but also on the federal level. My message to all businesses, large or small, though, is to really be careful to be sure that whatever it is that you're researching is authentic. Don't use any emails or phone numbers that are provided to you through the emails that you might get, because they could be phishing emails. Always go to the source to find out the phone number to call. Always go to the source, meaning the website, or make a phone call through the old phone book to the actual source, and be sure that what it is that you're reading or understanding is for real. Never, under any circumstances, give out any business information, personal information, bank account information, and certainly if you're being asked to make any sort of a transaction, again, whether personal or business, verify the source.
Yes. Thank you so much. Your wealth of information. Now, wait a minute. Can you go to the website to find out more?
Yes.
What is that?
You can. Our website is bbb.org.
That's
and
not
you will
hard to
see
forget.
some ads.
BBB.org.
No, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
bbb.org. We usually say start with trust. These days we're saying building trust in trying times, because certainly we're experiencing trying times.
There you go. Claire Rosenzweig, thank you so much. She's the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, the metro area, Metro New York. We appreciate you. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break, but I've got more coming up next on Open. I spoke to a healthcare worker who has tested positive for COVID-19. She's struggling to survive. Let's hear what she has to say.
I'm still temperature's high, still and body ache. But other than that, it's just so stressful.
Are you having a tough time breathing?
No, I don't have a problem breathing. I only had a problem with the temperature not being normal.
Oh, okay. How did you know that you had contracted COVID-19?
So first I was at work Thursday, and I noticed that I was getting hot, and then I went home, and I called my job, said I'm not going to make it in today. That was Thursday. Friday morning, I said I'm not going to work. Then I got my temperature went up again. Then what happened is I took myself to the Elmhurst Hospital, the tent, and then they did the test there.
Yeah, I passed by there the other day. They had a tent out there, and they had a long line of people.
Yeah, but sometimes not everybody can be seen. I think people is just scared. They're all just scared because, this disease is crazy.
So you went through the tent, and what happened?
So one of the nurses, I didn't have to go back to the left. I went up front. And so they took me in the tent, and they took my temperature. I took the temperature. Still was 101. Then they gave me the tube. They put me in a room, which was very painful.
They gave you the test, yeah.
Yeah, that was so painful. Oh, my God. It was so painful. And so I went home, and I started feeling my body was aching, aching. And then Saturday, the doctor called me and said that it came back positive. So I've been in a house in my room. Thank God I have a bathroom in my room and my backyard. I can go in my backyard if I feel like sitting out there, but I have no strength.
Are you drinking plenty of fluids?
Yeah, my grandkids, they are feeding me, and I'm trying to, but it's just like, I have no taste bud. It's just terrible.
You wiped out your taste buds?
Yep. So every time they fix me something to eat, I won't eat it all. I just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah. What do you tell other people who are out there, and, what do you tell them about the symptoms or what they should watch out or look out for?
First of all, they need to in the hospital, there's a lot of germs going on. So people have to continue to wash their hands. Don't be close to any person because that make it worse. I have various coworkers that went out as well, and they came back. But I just want people to know to wash your hands. If you got to wear a mask, wear a mask. But don't play around with this here, because even though I had a mask, I didn't go nowhere but to my boss's office, and then found out that he had it. So people has to, you don't know who has what. So, I had no idea my boss would have it. So I found out he had it first, and then that's when I got it. But people should be careful. Wear gloves if you have to. Wipe down everything, doorknobs and stuff like that. And spray Lysol if you can. But it's so important to keep your hand clean.
And stay indoors.
And stay indoors. You can't go out unless you have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
But
well, you're a healthcare worker. You work at the hospital, and everybody. We praise you and thank you, and God bless you guys. You're on the front line, and we thank you for all your service and the work that you guys do.
Yeah, it's so painful. my body would be aching. But I take medicine, but, that's all I can do. I mean, I'm in my bed like 24/7. And I'm one of those person to be working.
Yeah. Well, we wish you well. I'm going to continue to check up on you, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
We love you. God bless.
Love you.
Thank you so much for all of your service, and we're going to keep you in our prayers. And we wish her and all of her colleagues well, because you are on the front line. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more next. Welcome back. As unemployment numbers rise, our next guest joins us with information on your rights as an employee. We welcome Davita Perry of Schwartz, Perry and Heller LLP. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Bob. It's so nice to be here. It really is, with all of the craziness that's going on.
I know. Davita, what has changed with employment law in regards to the coronavirus pandemic?
Great question. So some very important things have changed. Last week, the New York paid leave law was amended to include paid leave for COVID-19. That means in New York State, employees have certain guaranteed job protections and financial compensation if the employee or dependent child is required by the government to be quarantined or self-isolated. This wouldn't be you self-quarantining. This would be something that's imposed upon you because you're either sick or you've been exposed to someone that was sick. And you would be, depending on the size of your employer, there's small employer, medium employer, and large employer, you would be paid a portion of your wages during the period of time that you're in quarantine.
So the time off would be what, 2 weeks or 80,
2 weeks.
80 days? 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks. And then the federal government, so that was the state, that's New York State. The federal government enacted the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. That went into that became law on March 18th. That's 2 weeks up to 80 hours of expanded family and medical leave if it's you or if you have to take care of someone. So those are two important things that hopefully will take some of the fear and uncertainty out of what's going on here right now. But in terms of the human rights law, we're still seeing discrimination, and there is going to be discrimination surrounding the coronavirus. So we've got the greatest law in the country in New York City, the New York City Human Rights Law. So if you're being treated differently because you're perceived a certain way and you're being targeted, you may have a claim under the Human Rights Law.
Yeah, just like you saw, I think it was something on the news where a young man sprayed Febreze on a person that he thought brought the virus to the country.
There you go.
So that person would have a claim.
That person could have a claim. I mean, it depends on sort of what happens next, but those are the kinds of things we're terrified of seeing. People are calling it the Wuhan virus. People are calling it the Chinese virus. Its name is the coronavirus or COVID-19. We shouldn't be doing that and stereotyping people. It's very dangerous. We don't want to be that society. We don't want to be that city. We're not that city.
Yeah. Going back to the other thing, if you stay home, you get the 2 weeks from your employer. But that's not only to take care of someone who may be sick, but you may have children home from school. Does that qualify?
Right. If you have to take care of it, yes. If it's a dependent child, that would qualify.
Yes. Okay. And I'm glad you're on top of all these laws that just came out. I mean, some of them have been out for a while, but yeah, you're right on top of it, and we appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm here for any listener that is concerned. I'm here to be a resource for anyone that has questions about moving forward. It's very frightening.
Okay. Is there a website we can go to or a phone number we can get in touch with your office
You can
number?
go to my website is sphlegal.com. We are all working remotely right now, so you can either email us or you can leave a voicemail. There's instructions on the website, and we will get back to you. I've got a great team of lawyers standing by to help anybody that has a concern about what's going on with them and their employer.
And thank you very much. We really appreciate
Thanks,
you. Thank you
Bob.
for your service.
Thank
Davita
you.
Perry of Schwartz, Perry, and Heller LLP. Thank you so much. We'll take a break.
Thanks,
Come back
Bob.
tomorrow. Welcome back. Hey, you know, the Kingsbridge Heights Community Center is looking for people to help, a helping hand. That's what it's all about. We need a helping hand to get their participants resources needed during this time. And joining us with more information, we have Alex Martinez. She's the Director of Adult Services over there at the center. Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out.
Thank you for
joining
us. Mm-hmm.
So you need things because you're distributing a lot of items. People are in need. This is a time of need. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going through a public health crisis that none of us have ever had to navigate before. And so KHCC is still working towards moving all of our services and programs remotely. As far as emergency services, we have really just responded to the community's needs. Right now, we have a daily emergency food pantry where we're distributing 200 meals to some of our most vulnerable families in need of food. It's running Saturdays and Sundays as well. And so we're also addressing other needs that are emerging. We have families with small children who don't have diapers, formula, wipes. A lot of people are, don't have any income right now and are really relying on our services.
Yeah. So all the things that you need laptops.
Yes, absolutely.
Unlocked cell phones.
Yes.
Diapers, non-perishable food items.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other things?
Yeah, you've covered
diapers,
it. Yeah, so
and
any
wipes.
diapers and wipes, absolutely. And you touched on another one. A lot of our families don't have access to the technology needed, computers, internet, phones. So any of that, if folks have the means to donate that, something that you're not using, it's okay. If it's new or used, especially in terms of technology, one of our IT specialists is repairing old laptops, and we're distributing those to families as well. And then, yes, non-perishable food is, as far as food donations, is best because we can distribute that to families and it can be in the home for as long as they need it to be. And the other thing is any monetary donations.
Donations.
Any money, because a lot of times what we've used those kinds of donations for is emergency grocery store gift cards. Different families have different nutritional needs as well. And so even the non-perishable donations aren't always a good fit. And so having that kind of flexibility, especially during all of this, is really something that our families would benefit from.
Yeah. So you're over there. Are you off the Brooklyn Expressway?
I'm sorry?
No, you're not off the Brooklyn Expressway. Kingsbridge.
Yes.
What are you next to?
So we are on Kingsbridge Terrace. We're really Lehman College. We're
the
on
big
the other
community
side
center
of the
over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the one train, we're off of 231st.
Yeah. All right. So here's what I'm going to do for you. Look into your camera.
Okay.
See that camera up there that usually has a green light on it?
Yes, I look
or
so
red
good.
light. You do. Now, sincerely, tell us about what your needs are. I want you to reach out to our viewing audience and just let them know sincerely what your heart is telling you, what you're passionate about, and what you need over at the
absolutely.
center.
Yes. So any donation, no matter how small, even if it's only $1, I know that the entire country right now is going through something that we've never had to experience. And unfortunately, we are currently living in one of the most impacted cities in the world, right? And so we're already working with really vulnerable families, and this pandemic has been impacting them so much more than before. We had a family yesterday where the only parent lost his job. He has no income, and he has 7 children depending on him, right? So any donation, any dollar, you can go to khcc-nyc.org and donate whatever you can. If you want to donate items, please, diapers, wipes, any non-perishable food item, any laptop, computer, or cell phone. We would really, really appreciate it. We're working really, really hard to distribute these emergency supplies to our families in the most safe way possible.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, and God bless you. We hope that you get everything that you asked for.
I hope so too.
And when this is all over, said and done, and we can come out and move about the cabin again, we'd like to come out there and visit you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, once all of this blows over, we have a really, really beautiful space. We have a beautiful garden, beautiful murals, and we're open to the community. We're home away from home for so much of our community, and we plan to stay that way.
And you're welcome to come over to BronxNet too and visit our BronxNet studios.
Oh, thank you. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So once again, your website is
khcc-nyc.org, and you can just follow all of the steps. It's on our homepage for anyone who's interested in donating.
And you can donate money there, and you need laptops, you need tablets, unlocked smartphones, non-perishable food items, gift cards to purchase emergency supplies, diapers, and wipes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. And that website one more time is?
khcc-nyc.org.
Alex Martinez, Director of Adult Services at the Kingsbridge Heights Community Center over there. And it stands for KHCC, Kingsbridge Heights Community Center. And we're going to come and visit you, we promise. All right.
Beautiful. Yeah, once it's safe to do so.
You got it. All right, Alex, thank you so much. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more next right here on Open.
This is Bobby C. with your look at sports this morning. Outside the world's most famous arena, we will start with the top 3 trending sports headlines. First time ever, the Indianapolis 500 will be moved from the month of May to August 23rd. Major League Baseball, too, should have been back to business, but Commissioner Rob Manfred is hoping that baseball will be part of the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, Karl Anthony Towns, NBA All-Star, both of his parents in the hospital. We send our well wishes to him. On to some better news. We will continue with our series here. Here's my top 10 Knickerbockers of all time. We continue our series here on Open. This time around, my ranking of the top 10 Knicks of all time. The Orange and Blue have retired 8 players and 1 coach's number. That's probably a good place to start. Maybe Brooklyn Nets star Kevin Durant doesn't think the Knicks are cool, but he should look up their history. The players on this list have helped the franchise win 8 conference titles and 2 NBA rings, while amassing more than 50 All-Star appearances. Coming in at number 10, Carmelo Anthony. Before he had even played a game with the Knicks, Anthony was already dubbed the King of New York. The former Syracuse star also wanted to play for the Knicks. Melo forced his way to New York, coming over in a memorable trade from Denver. In March of 2017, Anthony became only the 3rd player to score 10,000 points for 2 franchises, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Elvin Hayes. Melo won a scoring title in the Big Apple, consistently scored 20+, and despite never winning a championship here, likely deserves a spot in the rafters, too. Same deal for our next baller, feuds with James Dolan aside. At number 9, Charles Oakley. Oakley wasn't much of a scorer, but still made solid contributions. He was one of the toughest enforcers in the NBA and was the perfect complement to Patrick Ewing. More on him later. Oakley's best attributes were his defense and rebounding. During his 10 seasons with the Knicks, he averaged a double-double with 10.4 points per game and 10 rebounds per game, and they made the playoffs every year. And at number 8, Allen Houston. Houston was one of the best Knicks of all time, but would have been higher on this list if not for injuries. When Houston became a free agent in 1996, the Knicks signed him to a massive 6-year, $100 million contract. He led the Knicks in scoring for 4 straight seasons. He played in many memorable playoff games, including Game 5 of the 1999 playoffs versus the Miami Heat, when he hit a runner at the buzzer to win the game. At number 7, Harry Gallatin. Yeah, you might not know the name, but you should. He is by far the oldest Knick on this list. In fact, he was the first draft choice the Knicks franchise ever made. Even though he was an extremely undersized center at only 6'6", Gallatin was still one of the best rebounders in the league. During the 1953-54 season, he led the entire league in rebounding. Gallatin was best known for his toughness. During his 9 years as a Knick, Gallatin played in 610 consecutive games and 57 postseason games. The 6th greatest Knick on my all-time list of the top 10 Knickerbockers ever is Earl the Pearl Monroe. The Pearl joined Walt Frazier to form one of the best backcourts in NBA history. Monroe played in 57 postseason games during his 9 seasons as a member of the Knicks, including their 1973 championship run, the franchise's last title. The two-time All-Star had a career average of 16.2 points per game in New York. At number 5, the Hammer, Dave DeBusschere. DeBusschere made major contributions during the Knicks' 2 title wins in the 70s. He was a ferocious rebounder and a tenacious defender. He was a 6-time All-Defensive Team selection. And during the 6 seasons DeBusschere was on the Knicks, they never once failed to reach the playoffs. In my 4th spot, Bernard King. Check him out on YouTube, kids. King is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and played in his prime with the Knicks. During the 1984-85 season, King led the league in scoring with 32.9 points per game. While he was on the Knicks, King became the first player in over 20 years to score 50 points in back-to-back games. And now for the holy trinity of Knicks. Willis Reed grabs the 3rd spot. Reed is responsible for the single greatest moment in Knicks history. Every Knicks fan remembers, or at least has heard about it, when Reed hobbled onto the court before Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals to inspire his team to victory when everybody thought he was too injured to play. Reed is the only Finals MVP in Knicks history, winning the award during both of the Knicks' Finals victories in 1970 and 1973. The captain easily could be 1, 2, or 3 on this list, but the 2nd spot, at least according to my rankings, belongs to Walt Clyde Frazier. Frazier has to be the best guard in Knicks history and leads the Knicks all-time in assists. The playmaker epitomized the New York style in his off-court clothing and personality. He was also flashy on it. Frazier ran the point guard position for the Knicks during both their finals wins. He was named to the All-NBA team 6 times and the All-Defensive team 7 times. Today, he's one heck of a broadcaster for the club, but for the purposes of this list, he's an all-time Knick, maybe the best ever. Unless you agree with me about this guy, the big fella, at number 1. Even though he was never able to lead the Knicks to a championship, Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick of all time. He leads the franchise in almost every statistical category. If Knicks statistics aren't enough to make Ewing number 1, he is also 12th all-time in defensive rebounds and 8th all-time in blocks in NBA history. The 11-time All-Star led the Knicks to the playoffs 13 times and was selected to the All-NBA team 7 times, as well as the All-Defensive team 3 times. Patrick Ewing tops my list. So, what do you think? Would you keep the rankings the same? Change it? Did I miss anyone? Share your thoughts with me on my socials at The Voice, Bobby C.
Welcome back. The Afia Foundation works to deliver supplies, medical supplies, and recover some supplies. We're looking and they're joining us now to share more about their efforts toward COVID-19. We have the CEO, Danielle Boutin. We welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much.
So you're recovering. Are you getting a lot of response? Because this is a time of camaraderie. People have to come together. Like when we covered 9/11, people came together and they brought you coffee and they brought you socks if it was cold, or a raincoat. And people are really coming together to help others get what they need out of life. Is that what's happening now?
This is a enormous crisis in healthcare. And so what AFIA is doing is we are focusing on the protection of the healthcare workers who we have worked with for over a decade. And the response has been extraordinary. We have folks donating PPE, protective equipment and products from all over the country.
PPE, of course, that's personal protective equipment. What are some of the other things that you're looking for? Respirators, anything?
We are not. It's an interesting piece. We have connections with people who have innovative solutions around ventilators that we are connecting our partners to, but hospitals are doing an extraordinary job at sourcing and trying to find as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in the fire right now in terms of what they need and how responsive they can be.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you're getting people. Who are you reaching out to? Are you reaching out to stores or ordinary people, companies?
So AFIA has an amazing network of support. And what we are doing is we are getting the word out to our entire network of the supplies people can pack. We just started this program where people can pack up a box of supplies from home, everything from masks or gloves or wipes that would be helpful for us to then move it. What we're doing is we are sourcing supplies for hospitals, for federally qualified health centers, and for community agencies. No one has enough of the supplies they need to protect the staff delivering care.
Yeah. Why is there such a shortage at this time? I mean, we're the greatest nation in the world.
Well, so much of this product, so much of the N95 mask production comes from China. And China is recovering from its own devastation with COVID-19. And so the production of product has been slowed worldwide because that country was so horribly hit. And now everyone is ordering, but there is a lag in getting the product in that is being ordered. And it's not that hospitals aren't doing everything in their capacity and power to do right by this. People are at a standstill in many ways for being able to access the volume of product that they need. And it began with just China being devastated by this disease.
Yes. Yeah, and this is a worldwide pandemic. That's why they call it a pandemic. But hopefully things will open up very, very soon where you can get all the product that you need.
The governor is doing an extraordinary job at trying to help move that and make that possible. He is healthcare's advocate, and he is doing everything imaginable. I mean, what AFIA is doing now is we have product in our warehouse. Every day we are sending shipments out. So we have helped Harlem United, a federally qualified health center in New York City. We have helped Hudson River Health in Northern Westchester, community agencies, not Bellevue, New York, NYU in Brooklyn. We have helped multiple sites with the product that we currently have in our warehouse.
And this is important. We're happy to have you there with this organization. How long have you been working this organization?
For 11 years. I started it 11 years ago, never thinking that we would be responding the way we have been asked to in our own backyard.
Yeah. And you did it in response to something that took place in our community, or?
I worked in healthcare. I've worked in healthcare for 30 years. I'm an occupational therapist and did a lot of teaching and working in aging. And I went on a vacation to Tanzania, and there, while I was in the Serengeti, a woman was crying in a tent, and I met her and said, "What's happening?" And she said, "I'm a physician from London. I can't do anything here. There are no supplies in any of the clinics where I'm treating.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is an interesting call to action. I'm going to do something about this. Named the work Afia, because that's the word for health in the key Swahili language, came home and asked hospitals in New York if, instead of throwing away, because regulations are intense here around product, would you donate to me? And they all said yes. And we have rescued over 10 million pounds of supplies that would have been diverted to landfill or incineration, and have gotten them all over the world to grant wishes in the Caribbean and in Africa. And now we are turning our sights back on the staff that have helped us to be possible. And we feel it deeply. Like, this is as close to home as it's going to get. Every single day, I am getting 20 to 80 emails from practitioners and their family members asking for protective equipment. So it is cracking us in half, and we are moving as fast as we can.
Wow, man, we thank you so much. Wow. So what do you do around these times? Because you can't work in the office, you're working from home, but you can still
We are an essential service. So because we are providing product and we are responding to calls for emergency support, we are open. So Afia is operating, and we have to operate.
Thank you so much for all that you do. We really appreciate you, and thank you for the whole team. You want to give a shout out to some of the people on the front line working with you?
We have an amazing volunteer manager, Mary Grace, and our warehouse guys are fantastic. And David and Erica and Millie and Jesse and Felicia and Caroline they're killing it. And there isn't a moment that is going on here where people aren't involved. And our board is so involved right now with helping us to make as much possible. So it takes a village. It takes a village to protect those who are helping us. And I think the two ways that people can help is Afia is starting a campaign now where, for a donation of $6, people can help us buy 2 masks. Yeah. And if people don't have supplies that they can send to us, we need people to mobilize. And we are activating that between today and tomorrow. The more masks we can purchase, the more we can get them out. It is not easy to secure N95 masks. And we are hoping to be able to get as much as we possibly can. We also need people to pull together boxes of anything they have at home, from wipes to masks to gloves, that we could then hand off to the healthcare workers who are protecting us. So if they don't have these supplies, people can send $6 for 2 masks. They have changed the protection of someone. There were pictures yesterday in the New York Post of healthcare workers wearing garbage bags for protection. And that's just, we have to do something. We have to do something to help those who are protecting us.
Where can they send them? Is there a website? Or
yes, afiafoundation.org.
Thank you.
All the info is right there.
You are saving lives. To you and your crew, God bless you. May God continue to shine a light on you guys. Thank you for all that you do. Danielle Booten, founder and CEO of Afia Foundation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't thank you enough. We have an attitude of gratitude. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We've got more coming up next on Open. And welcome back. Our next guest is an occupational therapist and licensed brain gym consultant, and joins us to share tips for the brain during this time. We welcome Mari Mayoshi. We welcome you to the show. Now, we met sometime before. Weren't you on the show about maybe 2 years ago?
Yes, I was. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah. So you're dealing with the brain integration coach. You're the coach.
Yeah.
And we need you now more than ever before. How can you help us?
Definitely. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but when your brain experiences anxiety or stress, it kind of goes into this kind of frozen or very reactive state. So you might find yourself reacting or not being able to get done the things you normally can when you're not experiencing this kind of, unprecedented stress.
Yes.
So the things that people know to do, like taking a walk or getting some exercise or doing yoga, those things are all very beneficial. And I would say if it's working for you, please continue to do that. But there are also some movements that are designed to help relax the brain that help to get you out of that kind of frozen state.
Yeah. So you're stuck. You're in the sunken. You're in the frozen state.
Frozen,
You need someone to help you get out. We need a paradigm shift.
Right. And sometimes, like, people don't go into the frozen aspect. They kind of go into a fighting mode. Sometimes they go into a reactive, kind of fighting or kind of more active mode sometimes in stress as well. So there's the different reactions that you can have. And if you're finding yourself experiencing that, I would say, make sure one of the first easiest things you can do to help yourself is to hydrate.
Yeah.
So hydrate super important, especially when you're experiencing stress, because your body uses more water when you are stressed. So that's first and foremost the easiest thing you can do. Essentially, there are some movements in brain gym. So brain the method of practice is movements that are designed to enhance learning. But, I kind of expand that to enhance learning and living. And because everything we learned and we practice what works, and sometimes what works isn't good for us, but we do it anyway, practice. But, we do shift out of that kind of way of being. Sometimes doing some novel movements helps you get out of that. So,
what kind of movements are you talking about? Novel movements.
So one of the
something
movements
that you haven't done before or done in a while?
Novel movements are definitely movements you haven't done in a while. Sure, those are always good because you have to stop and pay attention. And when you have to stop and think about something and pay attention, you get out of that reactive or frozen mode because you have to really look at what's in front of you.
Gotcha.
So, novel movements are good because it wakes up the noticing part of the brain. And when you do that, you're more in the present moment. So going for a walk is great because what it does is by moving your arms in the opposing direction, you're doing contralateral movement, which is activating both sides of the brain at the same time. And when you do walking type movements, it helps your brain know, oh, okay, I'm getting away from danger, whatever I'm experiencing. So getting a walk is great. But if you, let's say you're out, can't leave, you can also do kind of a modified walk where you're like marching your legs, but then placing your hand on the opposite knee and up.
Oh, okay. I got it. I'm trying it now.
In England, we call that cross crawls, and cross crawl helps to kind of also get you out of that that state, that stress state. And you might be noticing, like, I don't normally react this way, and I don't normally feel like this kind of desire to fight or, frozen. But I'm noticing that in myself. If you're in the car, definitely do that.
It's either fight or flight.
Yeah, the fight or flight type of tendency. There's also the freeze tendency, which is to kind of like just get stuck.
Yeah.
So those are good.
That's a bad feeling, the stuck feeling. Oh, what do I do next? I can't figure out what to do next.
Right.
So how do you unstick somebody? Well, you said go for a walk, make sure you hydrate and those things like that. But do you have exercises that you perform or that you have your clients perform to get them unstuck?
So there's other movements that we also do. It's a little hard to describe, but what you can do is there's a movement called thinking caps, because sometimes also in stress people are listening, but they're not. So you can't even listen to yourself or listen to other people speaking to you. So there's
I get you.
we call it thinking cap, where we take your fingers and you unroll your earlobes, like you're opening your ears up, and you give your whole ear massage, and it helps to prepare the brain for listening. That might be really key in this time where you're trying to communicate or think about how you want to, get through this next period.
My mother used to do that to me. Hey.
Right.
Just get me to listen. Yeah, I got you. So do it to yourself.
Yeah.
You just pull them up.
Sorry?
Pull your earlobes up.
It's like you're unrolling them back and out. It's like you're...
Okay. So the people that you're dealing with parents who have tried everything, or therapists who have reached their plateau, or if you feel like you're at a loss for what you do, and you're helping out a client, then the brain gym can help. That can be the answer.
Yeah, I think there's many things that work for many people, but I do find that this is very beneficial. I have kind of all the people that you've mentioned. I have parents, I have kids, I have therapists who use it for themselves and their clients. And then I also have just well adults who just want to change the way they react or behave in a certain situation, or just want to do things better.
Yes.
So people who just want to enhance their performance at something. So whether it be playing an instrument or learning a new language or like dancing, there are people who just want to make their skills better. At this time, I have more people who are just trying to manage their stress and daily living kind of things.
Yeah.
But I've also put together like a free workshop that I'm doing online if people want to.
How do you see that?
If you go to my website, it's Brain Gym Learning Center NYC.
Say it again.
Brain Gym Learning Center NYC.
Brain Gym Learning Center NYC.
.weebly.com. And if you go to that page, and if you click on the events page, you'll see some free resources that I've had coming up, free or pay what you can. It's kind of a donation-based thing also.
Okay.
Do some of these movements in a group, and then you can actually see them because it's a little easier to watch it and do it rather than just listen to it.
We can follow along. Follow along. Can you give us that website one more time very slowly?
Sure. It's Brain Gym Learning Center NYC .weebly. So it's WEEBLY.com. It's a little bit of a long. Yeah.
Because I know somebody said, "Can you have us say that again?" And so my brain told me to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is definitely some stressful times. So, it's really important to really focus on the basics. Another thing that's helpful for the brain is that in times where things are uncertain, it's really beneficial to stick to the routine. Stick to routines that you're familiar and comfortable with as much as you can.
Yeah.
And really give your brain some familiar things in the context of some things that are unfamiliar.
Yeah. These are unbelievable times. We can't believe that we're going through things like this, like being stuck in a home or working with the kids that are supposed to be in school. So it can be very stressful. And then watching the news and how people around us are falling ill and passing away. And so, yes, these are very, very stressful times. So we need people like you. And we thank you for your service.
No problem. I mean, we're all in this together. So definitely it's important to, share what resources we can. And then also just, doing things in a consistent way because the brain really likes consistency.
Yeah.
It likes novel things like, movements and stuff, but only when you're feeling like, okay, but generally I have things kind of in a familiar context, So, so I would say, focus on those things. Join us in the group if you're feeling like you want some extra support. And, that's what I would say to do.
Thank you so much. Mari Miyoshi, brain integration coach, brain gym consultant, and she'll take you there. Occupational therapist and licensed brain gym consultant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll take a break right here. We'll come back with a whole lot more coming up next on Open. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. I want to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in and checking it all out. And we continue to pray for all those who are on the front line. Thank you for your service. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're going to come through it. We're going to come through it and we'll be okay. Keep following BronxNet for continued coverage. I can't wait to be out there in the community again to shake hands and share lots of love and break some bread. But for now, stay safe. And we wish all of you good health and happiness. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice and let your choice control the chooser. I'm Dr. Bob Lee. I'll catch you on the radio on 107.5 WBLS. Love you all. Peace.